ポイント回復するなら傷薬と宝玉で瀕死大変仲間を助ける血が絵師の玉と反合語石化回復ディスストーン毒で痛いよビスポイズン麻痺した時はディスパライズで病気を治すとディスシックいつも戦うみんなの味方僕らの街のお薬屋さヒットポイント回復するなら傷薬と宝玉で瀕死大変仲間を助ける血が絵師の玉と反合語石化回復ディスストーン毒で痛いよビスポイズン麻痺した時はディスパライズで病気を治すとディスシックいつも戦うみんなの味方僕らの街のお薬屋さヒットポイント回復するなら
Well, hey there. Welcome on into VGMporium, video game music and more. And if you're coming back after last week's episode, thank you. Because I know Sal, the guy I had run that episode, was a little on the strange. It might be a little much, but yeah, I think he did an okay job for what the episode was about. Of course, if you didn't realize, it's 69. So, and what does this make this episode? 70. And I had something else planned for this episode, but I think I'm gonna wait a little bit further down the line. So instead, today I bring you more shop themes. This is shop themes number 4. And in this case, it's all Persona, which I have been learning while talking to other VGM podcasters, as well as listening to other VGM podcasts and all that, and doing my own podcast, is that Persona is home to many, many very excellent shop themes, such as this delightful little song, Satomi Tadashi Pharmacy or Drugstore theme from Revelations Persona, composed by Masaki Okibe, with vocals by Hidehito Aoki. And this song is a perfect encapsulation of just Japan's love of jingles and theme songs for just anything. I mean, just for example, if you're riding the JR lines, the trains, every single station has its own jingle. If you go into the secondhand store, Book Off, Hard Off, they have their own theme song that plays 24/7. And just so many other shops and places that have their own theme songs or jingles, some that are just purely instrumental and some that have vocals, such as this one. So now the really cool thing I learned about this theme is that the lyrics are actually naming off items that you can purchase in this shop to, heal your HP, such as medicine and gems, to revive your friends with life orb or blood orb, and items to heal status effects like poison and stone with distone or dispoison. I mean, the first words in this song, it kind of tickles me. It's hit points or hito pointo, and just even that last little verse at the end of this song reads as the eternal ally of those who fight, our city's friendly drugstore. So now the reason why I started with this song is because, one, it's just a really good song. And then also, too, is that it shows up in various of the Persona games. Mostly, I think it's the first one, the second one, a few remixes, as well as Persona 5 with a few more remixes there. But also another part of that is because I found out about this song through Mardris of ReVGM and Pernell of Rhythm and Pixels, and they gave me multiple of the versions, but Pernell said the original one is definitely the best, which is why I went with this. And so that is also another part of the reason why I'm doing this all Persona shop themes, is because I think it was Pernell that actually suggested this to me. And that is because he knows that I'm looking for a particular vibe in my shop themes. If you haven't listened to the first 3 shop theme episodes, I would suggest you go listen to those to kind of know what I'm talking about. But there's this certain sound for shop themes I'm looking for that have that Deppa Chica, that Konbini sound. Basically the Japanese convenience store or department store song that just, I don't know, it's hard to describe, and I haven't been able to find actual collections of those instrumental songs that I heard in my 1 month in Tokyo and all over Japan. And this is the video game music that I found so far is the closest I've been able to get. And so in my listening to all these shop themes that I'm going to be playing for you today, they come pretty close to that sound I'm looking for. Not exactly there, but, good enough. So now you may be wondering, am I going to be counting this as one of the songs, so you're only going to get 4 more songs? No! This is going to be its own thing right here, this song, and I'm going to be playing you 5 more from each Persona game. But before we get into our next song, I'm going to kind of get back into something I kind of lost form with, and that is telling you a bit about the composers of this song. Starting with Masaki Okibe, she got her start doing sound on Power Instinct, the SNES version in 1994, Majin Tensei 2 Spiral Nemesis, Yusha Heaven's Gate, Revelations Persona, of course, many of the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, Persona Portable, which is the PSP release of Revelations Persona, Trick and Logic Season 1 on the PSP, Banshee's Last Cry, Trillion, God of Destruction, and her latest credit as project manager on Billion Road in 2020. And then our vocalist Hidehito Aoki, who has many composing credits to his name, starting with Amazing Tater in 1991, Wacky Races on the NES, Jantai Monogatari to Uchu Tantai Divan, there's 2 versions there, Super Widget, Power Instinct on the SNES, Majin Tensei and Majin Tensei 2 Spiral Nemesis, Persona of course, Cardia, The World of Fate, Advan Racing, Extermination, Wild Arms 3, Gran Turismo Concept, 2002, Tokyo Geneva, and then his latest credit I can find is Hungry Ghost in 2003. And I can say, having listened to this song for the last few minutes, he has a really nice voice. And so with that, we're getting into our next shop theme here, which is 1st and 2nd Ward Shopping District, Western Entrance, from Revelations Persona, composed by, would you look at that, Hidehito Aoki. You just got done walking around the 1st and 2nd Ward shopping district in the western entrance from Revelations Persona, composed by Hidehito Aoki. And even though this isn't quite the vibe I was talking about, it's still some good jams to listen to while you're hanging out at the shopping district, you know? You know, it's just a wonderfully janky beat that I feel the early PS1 music was just like, excelled at. So now, what can I tell you about this shopping district? Well, if you're not familiar with how shopping districts are in Japan, like, here in the States, we have like shopping malls or outdoor malls. In Japan, they have districts, which are basically like alleyways that are nothing but shops. And a lot of times they'll have like kind of an overhead covering to kind of, for weather and stuff. And sometimes it'll be just one alleyway and for a small district, or multiple alleys just like branching all over the place. And this place, it's just one straight alleyway, I think. And you got all these different shops. You got the pharmacy, you got weapon shops, you got other all kinds of shops I think there. I haven't played this game, so I'm not really all that sure. And the one gameplay footage I can find didn't really explore it all that much. It was just going for story stuff. But again, this janky PS1 tune fits that janky PS1 look of the original. It's like just that rough polygons, kind of like black, kind of dark shadows like ahead because it's first person when you go into it, and it just really kind of feels cool. So now, what's this game about? Well, you play as a silent protagonist. You sign a name to him, and you go to St. Hermelin High School, and there you're hanging out with a bunch of students, and you decide to play a game called Persona, which is akin to Bloody Mary. And while playing it, they all lose consciousness and meet the man known as Philmon, who wears a butterfly mask, and he gives them the ability to awaken their persona, which is basically a reflection of their inner selves. And then they wake up and they find their whole town is just isolated, and they gotta fight these demons that are causing it. So they use their persona to fight these things, and they gotta figure out what the hell's going on. And that's what I got for you. Again, I haven't played this game. I wish I was able to play it at least on the PSP when I had that, because I was there, I had it. I was starving for RPG, and I just did not see this one for some reason. But I have been definitely making up for that by listening to the OST, the original one on the PS1, because again, that just the sound of that, just that early PS1 sound is just, I don't know, it's just so good. And this, like I said, this track is really cool. It's kind of like that janky beat using like scratches, has like kind of like vocal samples all over the place, and it's just kind of weird. I love it. It's like right here, like all of those weird, like kind of these weird like scratch hits right here. It's just, I don't know. Again, it's not hitting quite that shop sound I'm looking for, but it is hitting just all the right spots for that really weird experimental PS1 sound that I find myself really loving. And speaking of that experimental PS1 sound, next song I got up here for you is Tony's Shop, Mystery Item Shop from Persona 2, Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment, composed by Masaki Kurokawa. Weird? Check. Experimental? Check. PS1? Double check. That was Tony's Shop, Mysterious Item Shop, from Persona 2, Innocent Sin, and Eternal Punishment, composed by Masaki Kurokawa. And I kind of like how the beginning of the song kind of like fakes you out, where it sounds like it's going to be like a cheesy organ with a cheesy rhythm going on, and then it turns into like this weird kind of, how best to describe this, janky reggae fusion. Does that work? I think it definitely fits that mysterious item vibe, and from all accounts I can tell that Tony is a smuggler, thus why many of the items in the shop are quite mysterious. You know, I've kind of had to do that a couple times myself, you know, hey, to get some interesting things in the shop, you gotta do things that are a little underboard. Is that even a phrase? Anyway, this Tony guy is a interesting looking fellow, kind of looks like a surfer a bit with that blonde hair, but has eyes that are, can't tell if he's looking at me or just looking at the floor, or I don't know what's going on. Kind of maybe a little surprised that he's able to run a business as well as he does. Does he run a business well? I have no idea. I haven't played this game, so I don't know exactly what he sells. Weapons, items, accessories, what? I can't quite find information on the online, so maybe that's a trait of an excellent smuggler, is able to keep whatever his business is off the internet. And now getting back to Tony's face, the way how wonky it looks actually kind of fits the music that plays in his shop. And this is my clever little segue into the composer, Masaki Kurokawa, whose list of credits is only 8 games long and is actually more of a collaborator than a sole composer. So the games that he's done are Cartia, The World of Fate, Persona 2, both Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment, Shin Megami Tensei, Shin Megami Tensei 2, Shin Megami Tensei 9, Shin Megami Tensei If, and Shin Megami Tensei Persona 2 Innocent Sin, the PSP re-release. And now this game, I actually just learned that there are, Persona 2 is actually 2 games. First one being Innocent Sin. It is set in the year 1999 and takes place in the seaside city of Sumaru. And it's between a group of folks from 2 different high schools plus some adults. And they must stop the events of the what's called the Oracle of Maya, which is a prophecy foretelling the end of the world due to some grand junction of the planets called the Grand Cross. And then Eternal Punishment, it takes place a few months after the events of Innocent Sin, still in 1999, whereas you take control of Maya, who is one of the party members from the last game, and they got to take on some antagonists from Revelations Persona, and probably just stop some more world-ending shenanigans. And that's all I'm going to tell you. I apologize if I'm not getting in as deep as I can into these. It's just that, there's a lot of story in all these games. And, I just don't got the time for that right now. It's an RPG set in modern day Japan's, or at least, modern day at the times they were released. And, it's kind of a cool setting. Most of them are fantasy settings or sci-fi future settings, whereas this, it's contemporary with a lot of weird shenanigans going on. I like saying that word, shenanigans. So moving right along, we're going to get into our next track here, and it's changing things up very much so, big time. So the next track I got for you is Jika net Tanaka from Persona 3, and this was composed by Shoji Meguro, with lyrics by Katsura Hashino, with vocals by Takaya Masahide.
「
that super funky tune was Jika Tanaka from Persona 3, composed by Shoji Meguro, with lyrics by Katsura Hashino and vocals by Takaya Masahide. And this here is that high-energy, super funky sound that most people nowadays would say, like, they hear that? Oh, hey, that's Persona! Which was the case for me because most of my exposure to this music was from 4 and 5 until, just recently, like, getting into it with Purnell. But when he brought in that track from Persona Revelations and now getting in, exploring things, trying to find shop themes with this, I'd have to say I'm more in the mind for the first 2 games, or I should say the first 3 games with, the 2-parter of Persona 2. So yes, even though we're kind of leaving behind that really weird experimental sound that were the first 2 Persona games, what we're getting from 3 and onward is definitely just as unique because, you hear it, and like I said, most people will be like, hey, that's Persona music, because it is Persona music. It's like, it has its own sound that you don't really hear anywhere else. So now this theme is linked to a very interesting shop. It's, it only shows up one day of the week, Sunday, and only in the mornings. And if you catch it just at the right time, you get to catch Tanaka's Amazing Commodities, wherein the host of this shopping channel, President Tanaka, will present to you a set of items that you can order at this time, and if you choose to order them, they will arrive a few days later at your home. So now this guy, Tanaka, is on the other end of the spectrum from our smuggler friend Tony, whereas, he is the president of a mega corporation, and he is a very greedy fellow. And in the beginning, I guess when you meet him, he is all about taking advantage of others, like getting all the money that he can. And then throughout the story and everything, as you work with him through social links, he learns that he likes to actually like teach people how to like improve, help them become better, and be a mentor towards them. And pretty much learns that he gains so much more from that than all the money that he's made up to this point. So he does make a reappearance in Persona 4 again with his shopping channel, Tanaka's Amazing Commodities, and then in Persona 5, where he has now opened up a online shop called Tanaka's Shady Commodities, whereas the list of items changes per day, per time, as well as to your rank, I guess. So now I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about these online shops, though, is that they lack personality altogether. They may have like some cool looking user interface, whatever you got, but it lacks that magic that going to a physical place has. Because you come to an Emporium, say, and you have a vague idea of what you're looking for, and then you find something that you weren't looking for at all, but find out like this is something you needed for so long, and it's just that magic of discovery, and that's what online shopping lacks. But this isn't the case for all online shopping sites, but for the large majority. Moving on, we're going to talk about our composer here, A1 Shoji Meguro, who is actually becoming quite beloved in the VGM scene, largely due to his work on the Persona series. And actually his first sound composition credit is from Revelations Persona, and then going on to Yusha Heaven's Gate, Maken X, Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, Maken Sha, Demon Sword, the Shin Megami Tensei series from Nocturne, Digital Devil Saga 2, both Trauma Center games, Persona 3 of course, and then all the was sound director on all the PSP re-releases of Persona 1, 2, and 3, Catherine, Persona Q, Shadow of the Labyrinth, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor 2, Record Breaker, Persona 5, Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux, Catherine Full Body, Persona Q2, New Cinema Labyrinth, and as well as Persona 5 Royal, and his latest credit being Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster. So yeah, this guy is the grand big honcho kahuna of the Persona music. Now getting to our lyricist, Katsura Hashino, he has written lyrics for many a song composed by Shoji Meguro. Just to name a couple here, we got Yo and Hen to Hen from Catherine, and Wake Up, Get Up, and Get Out There from Persona 5. And this is the smallest part of what he actually does at Atlus, which is like production side of things. So he's been a director, a producer, supervisor, creative producer, all that. And his earliest credit is Maken X back in 1999. And so now our vocalist, Takaya Masahide. He is was a playtester and debugger and planner for Atlus from 1999 to 2007. So his first test player credit being Devil Summoner Soul Hackers, and then his last one being Etrian Odyssey. And hey, he must have had a pretty nice voice for them to tag him to do this song, as well as I think he might have done a few others. I can't quite find the exact credits. It's neat little things like this that you learn while doing research on VGM that's pretty fun. So now Persona 3 is about a group of teenagers that are very nihilistic. They all, realize that, hey, death comes, so what's the point of living? So they decide to form a group called Seas, and they go take on demons during this certain time of the day or night called the Dark Hour with their personas. There you go. But in all seriousness, though, I think this game kind of really dives into, subjects of like about depression, nihilism, suicidal thoughts. A lot of the more darker sides of like the psychological stuff. I don't know, like I haven't played these games. There's way too much stuff to read here. Too much going on. So we're going to move on to our next shop theme here. And that is How Much from Persona 4, composed by Shoji Meguro. And that was How Much from Persona 4, composed by Shoji Meguro. And so now this here is a much more fitting shop theme than most things that I've played so far. That most of them are pretty good, but this is like kind of the closest to that vibe. It's kind of smooth, it's jazzy. Just listen to those pianos is so. And then this pad coming in right here. Yeah, that hits all the right spots. This is a shop theme right here. This is borderline cheesy, but also just so soothing and delightful. Just feels like you're shopping around a hip and modern city, But that is not the case here, because the story of Persona 4 takes place in the rural town of Inaba. But hey, the shops here in this town don't let that stop them from having excellent tunes, now don't it? So now, I've already told you about Shoji Meguro, so I have a little bit more time to tell you about this game here, and it's, it's an RPG, it's a murder mystery. Yeah, what more do you need to know? Actually, here's a cool thing to know. The protagonist and his posse have the ability to go inside TVs, and the reason for this is because all the murders that they're trying to solve the mysteries of are linked to this TV channel that shows like a twisted version of, people's identities. Pretty neat, huh? So now, seeing as this is the shop theme from the 4th Persona game, this leads to the stunning conclusion that this next track is going to be our last, that being Home Electronics Store from Persona 5, composed by Toshiki Konishi. Sorry, folks, I just had to hear that a little bit more. It's just that the pad, the piano, it's kind of YMO vibes, So this jauntily cheesy tune you just heard was Home Electronics Store from Persona 5, composed by Toshiki Konishi. And this is kind of all parallels that kind of shop theme sound I'm chasing, that high I'm chasing. Not quite that, but is alongside that, if that makes any sense. It's definitely not Tomato Mart, that's for sure. So now I don't know if this theme is actually exclusive to this spot, but one of the places I have learned that it plays in is called Akihabara Electronics Shop. And this is definitely a reference to BIC Electronics, which is a huge chain of electronics shops in Japan. They're multi-floor, all the things you can think of, like home appliances, computers, all kinds of different weird electronics and everything. And it's one of the few actual souvenirs I took home with me were a couple of large poster-sized calendars with the BIC logo and a few other things on it. What can I say? I was traveling light with just one backpack, mostly sleeping outside. Don't tell no one. Now, as you can definitely tell, this is not a Meguro jam. This is somebody else entirely, a different composer. And who is that composer? This is Toshiki Konishi. And he, like many of the other composers I've talked about so far, have had multiple roles within Atlus. His first one being quality assurance for Glow Lancer 3, The Dual Darkness in 2001. He has also been responsible for design for many of the games, and then his first audio credit being Trauma Center Second Opinion in 2006. He would then go on to work on Shin Megami Tensei Persona 2, the PSP re-release, Catherine, Glow Lancer, Wayfarer of Time, Shin Megami Tensei, Devil Survivor, Overclocked, Shin Megami Tensei 4, Persona Q, Shadow of Labyrinth, Persona 5, of course, Etrian Odyssey 5, Beyond the Myth, Shin Megami Tensei, Strange Journey Redux, Catherine Full Body, Persona Q2, New Cinema Labyrinth, and his latest credit in 2021 being Shin Megami Tensei 5. A lot of 5s in his credits. And the one I'm going to tell you about right now is Persona 5. Clever transition. So, Persona 5. What can I tell you about this? Well, it takes in the modern day of Tokyo, Japan, modern day being 2017. And you take the role of a second-year Shujin Academy student, Ren Amamiya. And he forms a group with other students at Shujin Academy who are feel kind of displaced and forgotten in this very toxic and dangerous society. And they form the group known as the Phantom Thieves of Hearts, whereas they use a smartphone app to go into the hearts of people to confront the shell that they're showing outward that is, the twisted version of their true selves. So they remove the mask, and they kind of help cleanse these people of, some of their toxic traits, I guess. Kind of a recurring theme in these Persona games, it seems. And truth to tell, I don't really see myself playing any of them. Maybe at least one of them, I don't know which one. Won't be anytime soon because, as we all know, Tears of the Kingdom is coming out, and with my newly acquired Switch from last year, I know what I'll be doing for the next year, I guess. But that don't have nothing to do with shop themes now, do it? And unfortunately, I don't have any more shop themes, for today at least. So thank you for coming in and listening to me share my unknowledge toward a series that I am largely ignorant about. What I do knows about it is it's mostly all about groups of teens. They have inner selves that they use to combat demons and twisted versions of people. And they have really excellent shop themes, which is what I'm just truly looking for. And, I do have a little bit of a stockpile of themes built up, so it won't be another long wait between another shop themes episode. So don't you worry there. So what's more, thank you for coming into VGMporium. And if this is your first time in, just to let you know, you can find it on all your favorite podcatchers such as Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, if that's anybody's favorite, and, Apple, Amazon, Audible, as well as on Twitter and Instagram, and on Mastodon, which I barely use. I probably should start using it more. And there's a website as well, VGMporium.wordpress.com, where you can find all the episodes. It's pretty bare bones. It's just, a place to have the episodes, to have our RSS feed to share to the podcatchers. And then I've been your host / proprietor, Rage Cage, and you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, as well as Facebook, and then on SoundCloud, where I post my original musics. Ain't that a fun time? And one more thing. If you have a special order that you want to send in, that's a song request, you can send it to VGMporium@gmail.com, or there's the Discord as well, which you'll find on the website and on the show notes. Like every single episode should have that link there. And there's a special orders section there that you could put it in. So now, next week, I'm going to be having another guest on. Yes, I know I was doing every other episode, starting at episode 60 with Purnell, but, there was a lull between having guests on, and hopefully I have a few more lined up as well. But yeah, next week is going to be Chuck Kowalski of Haberchuck, who is a chiptunist, fellow chiptunist, and yeah, he's bringing on night jams. But it was mostly an excuse for us to finally get to talk to each other and nerd out about chiptune. So yeah, look forward to that. It's a really fun one.